Is it possible to have a great income and still spend plenty of time with your kids? That's exactly what we're going to show you how to do today. So I'm here with Tess. She is a permanent jewelry artist. And hey, Tess, how are you doing?
Hey.
Tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, and then, how you got started in permanent jewelry.
Yeah, so I'm Tess. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. And basically, it was around Christmas time. So just like 2 months ago, I wanted permanent jewelry and I was Googling like permanent jewelry near me, trying to find somebody. Well, I could only find one company. And I'm like, what in the world? So I go and I'm looking at their pop ups and they only have 5 pop ups a month. And I'm like thinking in my head and immediately like go to my husband. And I'm like, okay, look, this girl, she's only doing 5 pop ups a month. So that means I can do this. And he was like, okay. But originally, I went to nursing school and I graduated in July. And I was just like, I don't want to be away from my son 40 hours a week. Like, I want to be home and be present with him because time flies by. So, but I also wanted to have something of my own where I could like go out and like still make money and talk to adults and be around other people. So I was so happy when I found permanent jewelry, and it's really just been a blessing so far.
That's awesome. So, do you actually, is your business in Birmingham right now?
It is. I'm in Birmingham, and I'm doing pop-ups, so I don't have like a physical location. So I do pop-ups and private parties, I guess, like most people do. It's been great.
That's awesome. I'm actually an hour from or north of Birmingham. So, yeah, I grew up in Alabama. So, small world.
Oh, awesome. Where are you at, or where were you from?
Decatur.
Oh, okay, okay. I know
So,
exactly where that's at.
yeah, I'm very familiar with Birmingham. So yeah, I know it's a great market there because I've
Oh
got a
yeah,
couple of cousins. They're like an hour and a half north of you, and they're crushing it too. But anyways, so
yeah,
yeah, Birmingham, that's awesome. So
yeah.
for your events and stuff, are you just going to like salons, boutiques, or do you have a place to take clients? How are you structuring your business?
So I go to salons, boutiques, all of those types of things. I went to a cafe this past weekend and I was kind of skeptical, like I don't know how the turnout's gonna be. And they had so many people in there. And I had people like in the Facebook group, somebody asked, like, has anybody done a pop-up at a cafe? And I'm like, there's so many college students in there
Oh
like
yeah,
studying and people in the I mean, all kinds of people. So
yeah.
definitely try the cafes. But yeah, I go to salons, boutiques
Yeah,
for the
that's
most
actually the
part.
first time I've heard someone say cafes or coffee shops, but it makes sense because I was in Birmingham a couple months ago and they have so many good coffee shops.
Yep.
So yeah, that's awesome. So at the beginning of the video, we mentioned that you had kids and you're able to still spend a lot
Mhm.
of time with them. So can you talk a little bit about that dynamic? And is this your first business?
Yeah, so this is my first business. It's just nice. I have 2 kids. I have a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old, and the 9-year-old, she's in sports and all the extracurricular activities that she has to do. So it's really nice that I can make my own schedule. I can if I wanna do, like, a somebody has a private party, I can, like, schedule it
Mm.
right at bedtime or right after bedtime, and I guess that's kind of the beauty of it, because there's so much flexibility with it. And you can work as much as you want to work or as little as you want to work. It's totally the ball's in your court on how much money you make or where you take the business. It's totally up to you.
And I know you mentioned to me before we started recording that you went to nursing school.
Hmm.
What made you decide like, hey, I don't want to do this nursing thing. I'd rather start my own business.
So I guess more so just because like the 40-hour work weeks, like yeah, you're gone for 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts.
Hmm.
My son is asleep when I leave in the morning and it's bedtime when I come home. And just the thought of being away for him for an entire day when I don't necessarily have to be away from him. And it just doesn't really settle well with me. Not to mention like money wise, I made more at one party in like a 4-hour time span than I would as a whole entire week as a nurse, a registered
Right.
nurse. So to
Yep.
me, I'm like, you know,
Yep.
it's an easy decision right there.
For sure. Yeah, my sister-in-law, she's about probably an hour and a half north of you, but she's a nurse and I've been trying to get her to do permanent jewelry because yeah, I know the money's a lot better right now in permanent jewelry.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I guess just the flexibility in
Hmm.
itself. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot going on in the nursing world. That's a whole nother thing. But It's just, you know, you can't you can't make these numbers up, and you price it how you wanna price it.
Mhm.
Anybody can price theirs however they want to. I've had people that I've talked to and their numbers are, like, way up here for pricing, and then some people's numbers who are way down here, so I like to be like, make those decisions for myself
Right.
and for my business.
Exactly. So, with this being your first business, did you find it challenging to start, or what was the process through that? Because that's a common question I get for people who don't have businesses.
Yeah, so I will say I watched a lot of your YouTube videos whenever I was joining Linked, because like, you just wanna know from other
Hmm.
people. Um, and I feel like that helped me when it came to, like, starting my business, kinda gave me, like, a feel for how it all went. I feel like the transition was really smooth from not having a business background to starting my own business. I like that you don't necessarily have to do, like, LLC. All of those things are, like, totally in your court on
Yeah.
what you wanna do, and I like that. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube's awesome. Like, I mean, I always watch YouTube and learn everything there. I mean, I still do formal trainings and stuff like that, but if I want to get an idea of something, I definitely love YouTube.
Yes.
So like, how much on average are you making like per event or party that you're doing?
It's always a little bit different. My very first party, I felt like I mean, when you very first start out, you're kind of slow, like you're still learning the ropes and stuff. But I ended up bringing home like $1,300 that night and like a 4 hour party. And I was like, oh my goodness, like a whole new world had just
Yeah.
happened. Because I just really wasn't expecting it. And then so that was one of my parties. And then most of my pop ups I've made between 700 and $800 every pop up. So, I mean, it's great. And my pop ups I normally do between 2 hours and 4 hours. So it's great money for the little bit of time that I'm away from my family.
That's awesome. And you said 1,300 in 4 hours?
Yeah, $1,300 in 4 hours.
And that's a lot of profits too, because like the markups on these chains are amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I've had nobody push back. Like, nobody's been like, "Wow, that's really expensive." Like, everybody knows that they're getting good quality things, and I think that that's important. I buy a lot of my supplies from y'all, and, like, I know that whenever I'm getting my product, like, I'm getting good product. So, yeah, nobody's, like, questioned my prices or anything like that.
That's awesome. And so for those listening or watching, if you want to, make $1,300 in 4 hours, or have the tools to do that, go to linkedpermanentjewelrytraining.com. And then, so like, let's go back to, you started your business and you talked a little bit about, you learned from the Facebook group, you learned from the YouTube videos,
Oh, yeah.
and then of course the course. And what package did you go with? Was it the deluxe or the elite?
So I went with the deluxe package and I had no issues with it, but then I sent my machine back and I bought the Orion through y'all or through the other
Right.
company, but with
Right.
y'all's link.
Yeah.
I just liked how small the
Hmm.
other machine was in comparison, but the other machine worked perfectly fine. I used it and sending it back and everything was such a smooth transition with y'all. So absolutely had no problems or hiccups with any of that.
Nice. Yeah, and that's exactly why we do it, because, the Orion's a great machine and it's small, and Sunstone's a great company that, I'm good friends with their CEO. But
Mhm.
not everybody can afford to, invest $5,000
Yeah,
up front to start a business. And so that's why we give people more affordable options so that they can, grow and, learn the business model, make some money, and then upgrade.
absolutely, and I feel like that's really important because the cheaper machine does the exact same job as the other machine does. It's really just your preference, but the
Right.
fact that y'all, you give us a year to make that money to get something the other one if we want it. I just think that's a great thing to have in your business. It shows that you actually want us to, like, grow and do
Mm.
better and have the best things, and I appreciate that, and I think all the linked students appreciate that as well.
All right. So as far as like, when you started your business, you don't, I'm assuming you didn't have any marketing experience. Is that correct?
Correct. I had no marketing experience, and honestly, that was the best thing about going through Linked is, like, I actually called, and I think I talked to Sarah on the phone when I did this, and she told me, she was like, "We give you pictures and reels and, like, wording and all of that kinda stuff," and I was like, "Okay, that's what I need," because you don't know in the very beginning, like, you don't have pictures unless you're welding it on yourself, which is hard enough in itself. Or if you like want to start social media beforehand,
Hmm.
before you actually get to practicing, just to like kind of get a following and stuff, it's really nice that you have that option and all the layouts and everything there for you.
Yeah, for sure. Just it builds that trust and credibility because, like, imagine wanting to book permanent jewelry, but you can pick between two companies, one that already has some photos and videos, or one that has nothing.
Hmm.
And so, obviously, you're going to go with the one that has stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. I actually was in that situation between like, we won't say any names, but y'all and another company. And when she told me that, I'm like, you can't, I'm going with that all day. And it's quality photos too. Like,
Mm.
it's not just, it makes your Instagram or Facebook, everything look really nice. So yeah, I'm very thankful that the photos and reels and all of that. And my reels have been such a hit. And it's y'all's reels, but I'm using it on my social media. But
Yeah.
they have been such a hit because people want to know. And you get like the video and then it tells you like what is permanent jewelry and all of that's broken down in one reel. And it's like chef's kiss. What more could you ask for?
And that's the thing. Like, I've worked with lots of small business owners the past 5 years, and the biggest struggle for them was always content and just building that trust and credibility up front before they really established an audience.
Yes.
So that I wanted to make sure all of our students were set up for success, and linked.
Yes. I think the wording too, it's just super helpful because in the very beginning, I'm like, I don't even know how to start this out. Like, I can talk to people on my own social
Yeah.
media, but to be like talking to an entire community of people, I'm like, I need some help here. So that was very helpful for like my first few posts.
Yeah, I mean, writing posts, like, people underestimate the power of that, but just we call it copywriting in advertising. But your ad copy, your post wording, just everything is just it makes such a difference, and people don't realize it because I mean, there's literally like college degrees, like people who just their only job is to write stuff, and so I knew that like you guys would definitely benefit if we just go ahead and write a lot of posts for you.
Yes, it's so helpful. Like, I think it's underestimated, honestly, on how helpful it actually is until you're
Hmm.
in that situation. So I love that and so appreciative for it for sure.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, because even if you're a great writer, I mean, it might take you 30 minutes to write a really good post, and so we're just trying to save you guys as much time as possible.
Yeah, and I think like doing the bullet points, kind of like
Mhm.
spacing it out, like I honestly would have never thought of that. I wouldn't do that on my own personal social media. So when you start a business, I think it is important to do those things to like catch people's attention. So now when I do my own post, I use like y'all's layout for my post now. And I
Mm.
mean, it's a hit. So
Yeah,
it's definitely
'cause
helpful.
yeah, a common amateur mistake I see with new businesses is they'll just clump all their text in one thing, and it's not readable, and people just kind of skim over it. And so if you can really
Yeah.
break it down and put bullet points and make it easy to read, it just does so much better.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree.
But I think that's one thing I do a terrible job at advertising myself is like I don't talk enough about like the monthly coaching and training and webinars we do on the group. I forget to mention
Yeah.
those, but I mean, do you find those helpful?
I do. I find it very helpful just to be able to like be in there and see other people's questions and like people ask questions that you don't even think about, but you need to know the answer to.
Right.
And that it's just great. It's so helpful and good to have that option to do that if you want to jump on and join. So yeah,
Awesome. So for anyone that's on the fence right now, they're like, well, I'm not sure whether to invest in Link. I'm scared to spend that much money. Like, what would you tell them?
absolutely do it. Like just don't hold back. Go ahead, do it, take the leap. You'll never regret it. That's it. Period.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. As far as like, anything else that you think, like whether somebody's thinking about doing it or whether they're already a permanent jewelry artist, do you have any other like things that like, oh, I wish I could go back 3 months ago. If I knew this, it would have helped me out a little bit.
Um, the only thing really is like whenever I went into it, I didn't know like we get how many 20 feet of chain or something. I didn't realize how little of amount that was.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing is just to be like more knowledgeable and like have more resources maybe as to where to buy like more chains and jump rings and that sort of stuff. But other than that, that's really it.
Yeah. And I know that like, people think like, oh, 20 feet of chain and they think it's going to be these big spools and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
I've seen, $50,000 packages of jewelry in just like a little tiny box. Like it's just jewelry doesn't
Yes.
take up much space, and so, but I
I
mean,
get I think just, like, starting out whenever I got my thing, I was like, "What in the world?" But I will tell you, this is actually the tea. My very first party that I did, I had bought extra chain, and I still had the chain that came in my box, and I just, like, sat it out, and I was like, "Here's these." I'm like, "I don't have a whole lot." Almost every single person, the whole $1,200 came from the chain that y'all gave me. So, that's half of the payment, and it was from the I bought all this other chain, but they wanted the chain that y'all had given me. So, I mean, you definitely make your money back, and yeah. It
that's
looks
awesome.
like very little, but it covered a whole bunch of people at that party, and everybody was happy, so
Yeah, I know a lot of other training companies. I'm not trying to be negative towards them, but it just from what I've seen, they'll say like, "Oh, we give you 30 or 40 feet," but it's all like really cheap, crappy chain. Whereas
yes.
in our kit, we do like the most popular ones. We do like 14 karat gold in some of them, and so it's just a lot higher quality than what you would get with another company.
Yes, I agree, and you can tell by looking at it that it's great
Mhm.
quality chain, so you can't really ask for more.
So, what has been your most popular? Not necessarily the specific chain, but like, has it been like sterling silver or gold? Like, what's been most popular in your area?
For sure gold. I carry sterling silver, 14 karat gold, and gold filled. Most people buy the gold filled, which that's fine by me. But gold for sure. I did like a pop up and I had like one person out of all the other people who did sterling silver. So gold's super hot. And actually rose gold is too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how popular it was. But I just had somebody actually message me. She was like, "Hey, do you have any rose gold chains?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." But now I know I need to buy more rose gold, but
Right.
definitely gold filled's the most popular.
So you're saying gold filled or gold is the most popular?
Gold filled. 14
Okay,
karat gold
awesome.
filled. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, I agree. I don't want to hold my hand up because I cut myself shaving today, but I've got most of the gold filled stuff on. Just because, like, for me, like, can I afford gold? Yes, but I don't want to be under that pressure of my son breaking it or losing it or something.
Exactly.
I like gold filled.
It's
It
just as good of quality, I
Yeah.
mean, for everyday wear, so
Um,
nobody's
so is your necklace permanent?
it's not, but I wear this to, like, all of my events, and this necklace has, like, sold so many necklaces for me, because they all ask, I'm like, "Well, it's not, but I can make you something similar." Like, I have
Yeah.
the paperclip bracelet, and they're like, "Okay, I want that." So, yeah, it definitely helps.
That's awesome. So as far as like when you're at events or coffee shops or even just dealing with customers, do you try to like upsell them or try to sell them charms or just kind of let them pick? What's your strategy?
So in the beginning, I don't feel like being pushy. I don't like when somebody's pushy to me, so I
Right.
kind of like give them their space. But like 9 times out of 10, they ask my opinion, and they always go for like something very like dainty. And I'm like, well, for me, I always like to like a dainty, and then I'll add another bracelet to it that's a little
Hmm.
bigger and thicker. I just think it makes it pop, and it sells them every time. But in the beginning, I just kinda, like, let them make their own decisions, as when it comes for charms, I feel like they just kinda sell themselves, like,
Yeah.
people come in and they know, like, "Yes, I want a charm," or "No, I don't want a charm," and I'm like, "Okay," like, so, I just leave them sitting out there and I put them right there with my bracelets, and 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, "Well, I think I want a charm too," and
Hmm.
I'm like, "Okay."
Have you? I know football is big in Alabama. Have you had any people request like Alabama or Auburn charms?
I haven't, not yet, but I can definitely see that coming come, like, September.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I haven't even thought about that, so I definitely need to get some Alabama, Auburn things over here.
And I know you recently graduated from nursing school last year. Have you
Mhm.
you know, I know that the reason I asked this because my cousin, she went to an NICU nurse thing and made like $2,000 in 4 hours. So have you
Yeah,
considered doing any, like, because I know UAB hospital is right there.
they are. I haven't thought about it. I did a teacher, she's a nurse practitioner and she's a teacher at Samford University here, and she was like, "All of my girls, like, they really want something." And I was like, "Well, here's my card. Like, I'll come
Yeah.
set up one day, like when they go to lunch or like when they have a break or something." So I think that's going to be a hot spot to be. I've had a college student come into a pop up. a few weeks ago. She's like, "Well, I really don't have the money. You know, I'm a college student." I was like, "I get it, but you can take a card." And then she's already messaged me on social media, and she's doing a private party next week. So it's like they don't have the money, but they'll find ways.
They
I
got
mean, they want it. People want it.
yeah, those girls that they have parents. That's how they
Oh
got into
yeah,
college.
exactly, exactly. So that's why I'm always like, "Well, just take my card," and then it sells itself.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Sweet. Well, this has been really helpful. If you're watching or listening to this and you love the tips, let us know in the comments what your favorite piece of advice was, because we had a lot of good ones here. A lot of stuff, today, like the coffee shops and a few other things that we've never shared before on this podcast or show. And so, thank you, Tess, so much for joining me. And
mm,
if they want to follow you on Instagram, I mean, you don't have to give your Instagram, but if they want to follow, I'm sure you'll take some followers.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. My Instagram is infinity and then underscore links, and links is spelled Linx and then
Okay,
underscore.
perfect.
So yeah,
Awesome. Go give her some likes and comments and shout outs for, coming on here and sharing this advice. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel or podcast. And Tess, thanks so much. And I will see you around.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.